Hey there everyone! Welcome back to another exciting video for the Shibarium community and its partners. I'm Shib, and my mission is to spread knowledge and positivity within the Shibarium ecosystem. This video is the 10th of all X-Space Weekly DAO Update series. This X-Space was held March 28th, 2024.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another K9 Finance X Spaces. Hello and welcome. I am Pulse Digital, or I go by Shane as well, and I'm here as your K9 Finance host today for our weekly DAO update, episode 10, if I'm keeping track of these things correctly. You are here very early to our X Spaces, which means you are either listening to the recording, which is awesome. If you're doing that, we appreciate it, or you followed the reminder link, which is also fantastic, but that means you're here during the setup phase. If you're here in the recording, you don't necessarily have to go through the setup. You could scroll forward if you so choose to do so, although there might be some funny stuff between here and then, first 5 minutes usually. And if you're here live, you're stuck while we do things like get our speakers in place, check microphones, pin posts. If you've been to a Spaces, you know how some of this stuff goes. If you've never been to a Spaces before, hello, thanks for making this your first one. That's a great choice. You're going to have to compare every one of them to this from now on, and I feel terrible about that because it's going to blow them out of the water. But you will see how to run a Spaces here. So things like the intro, things like getting people in place, making sure that it's crisp and stuff like that. So give us a minute while we check on everybody, like Buzz, for instance, who got his microphone and is here in the speaker spot. Buzz, does your microphone work? How are you, man?
I hope it's working. Can you hear me?
Yeah, first time's always not the charm, though, with X Spaces, right?
Yeah, for whatever reason, the UI is doing that thing for me today where the mic doesn't actually show. So I'm glad to hear that you can hear me.
Yep, and I can see you. We know that X is kind of anti-Buzz, so if we lose him a few times, we'll pick him back up again. And then Sentinel came up also from Shibacals, got a microphone. How are you, sir?
Greetings and salutations. Doing well. Thanks for having me today.
You bet, man. Thank you for coming up in the speaker spot and hanging out for the weekly DAO update. Now, anybody else that is going to be interested in speaking, I see some familiar faces and stuff down there. Lightspeed's here. The Shib account is here. You guys are welcome to come up. Shib, if you want a co-host spot, I can send you that if you want to hang out up here in the co-host spot. No obligation, of course. And we're going to go through some general updates of stuff that's gone on this week. It's not a heavy news week this week, so we're just going to touch on a couple of things from each of us here. Things for me, something that I wanted to highlight. We're going to give Buzz a chance to highlight some stuff. We'll let Sentinel talk a little bit about some sentiment stuff this week, see what brought him up. And we will also do a little bit of an AMA towards the end, and then we always wrap prior to the 1 hour mark. So we're here for a solid 30 to 45 minutes of questions, concerns, comments for our weekly DAO update. So give me about 2 to 3 more minutes. We'll do a room reset, which is where those of you who are here with me pretend that you weren't already here, and we reset the room for recording purposes. That way there's a crisp starting point. If you're ever interested in making clips, I don't know if any of you ever take audio clips out of the spaces you host or the spaces that you go to or anything like that. There is a native clip feature, by the way, in X, but it's disappointingly lackluster. I feel like they could do a lot more for creators, but I could do a whole Spaces on that. Lightspeed, microphone check. How are you, sir? I see you up here.
Got you 5x5.
Cool, man. Solid copy back here as well. Good to have you up. I appreciate you being on my wing today.
Appreciate it as well. Thanks, man.
Yup. Familiar faces. I appreciate all you guys down in the crowd. I won't be able to get to everybody by name, but I see a lot of Telegram members, a lot of X people. I don't know if we don't call them X-Men, X people. That's not what Charles Xavier would want, but people that I'm used to interacting with. And I appreciate you guys coming to the Spaces and hanging out with us. We should have a good audience today. And we'll get cracking in about 2 more minutes. I particularly am excited, and I'm going to need Buzz's help on this. I'm going to be talking about the evolution of the K9 product today. I think there was some sentiment that was tossed around on X, and everybody saw the word bone crusher, and I want to highlight that. So we're going to get to, at least as far as I'm concerned, I want to have a little conversation with Buzz about the evolution of the K9 Finance product, because I know that's something that he enjoyed writing, and I don't feel like he would get tired of talking about it either. So stick around. We're going to do weekly update stuff, some exchange updates from Mr. Lightspeed. He'll talk to us about how things have been going at MEXC and stuff like that. We'll talk to Buzz about product development. We'll highlight what Sentinel's going to talk about, and then we'll invite some other people up. Give me about 30 more seconds. Go ahead.
K9 Saint was also going to come up as well to talk about some things that he's doing. He's starting a podcast, so he wanted to come up and speak about that.
Okay, right on. I'll keep an eye out for the request. Is his same name on here?
I believe so, yes. I saw his account in here. just a few moments ago. But K9 saying, if you're listening, just put up a speaker request and we'll get you up.
Right on. We can definitely do that. Always love to highlight community members that are working on stuff. Podcasts are something that I've never actually done, like a podcast. I do all the speaking and stuff like that, but I've never sat down and tried to record a podcast. So that'll be fun to hear what he's working up to. So if everybody's ready, sounds like everybody's microphone's working. Everybody's here to go. I'm going to do the room reset. If you're all thumbs up 5x5 emojis from the crowd. Remember, before we start, the one thing you guys can do to help me while I'm redoing this is speakers can pin your posts. If you've got something you're going to want to talk about, whether it's from your profile, from an exchange profile, from another account, find that, get it pinned, because I'll be talking for the next 2 minutes. You can do that. And if you're down in the listener spot, you can do the comments in the bottom right. Right now, it's got a number 5 on there. That could be way higher. There's more than 5 people in here. You all could comment down there. You can like and share. That would be very helpful. Share a cool picture, whatever you need to do to get the algorithm to notice that the space is popping today. I would appreciate that. So without further ado, I'm going to do the room reset. You guys ready? All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's another K9 Finance X Spaces, and you are here today with me, your host. My name is Pulse Digital, or I go by Shane if you're with me on the Telegram, and I'm here in the K9 Finance account today to host our weekly DAO update, episode 10. And I'm up here today with a number of speakers on the panel who you'll be able to see if you're listening to the recording as they speak, or if you're here in person, you already see them. We've got the main Shib account, Shiba Inu account, as our co-host today. I appreciate you guys carving out the time to hang out with us and giving us that special X bump that comes from the Shib account. Mr. Lightspeed is here. We're going to have some exchange news, talk about what's been going on at MEXC, talk about what his week's been like, doing back channel conversations and where his stress level's at with stuff. We got Buzz here, obviously going over Buzz's corner, some things for him to highlight this week, and he's been doing a lot of product development. I have some specific questions about an X post that came out this week that I'm going to want to talk about with him about Bone Crusher. What is Bone Crusher? That's just a juicy word. So we're going to want to talk about what Bone Crusher is. And we're also going to do Buzz's corner, where we all get to sit crisscross applesauce and listen to Buzz tell us a story. That's my favorite part, frankly, of Spaces. And then near the end, we'll do the AMA. We'll open it up. We've got K9 Saint is here. Sentinel is here. They've both got some stuff they're going to talk about with us this week. And if I spark your imagination or inspire a conversation, feel free to raise a hand. You can also comment in the bottom right. If for some reason you can't speak wherever you are, comment in the bottom right. You can also tag us. That helps a lot. And we'll get to you down there. So without further ado, my job as the host is to talk very much in the beginning and very little from here on out. So the first person I want to go to is Buzz, because I know you've been on a couple of spaces this week. I heard you trying getting a word in edgewise with Mario this week. So now that you have an uninterrupted platform on X Spaces, man, what's up? How are you?
Doing good. It's been definitely a big week in terms of product development and process building. Most of the work behind the scenes has been done by Turtle. He wasn't able to make it today because he had some prior commitments, but he's been putting in a ton of work getting Snapshot up operational, like the forum for how the DAO is going to operate. So lots to talk about in regards to DAO updates there. We also put out finally like the sort of marketing collateral that comes along with our roadmap, and how there was a lot of purposeful thought that went into what the naming convention would be of the different product releases that we're getting into. And for Buzz's Corner, I want to talk about the big news that really came out today, which was in regards to Sam Bankman-Fried, because I posted a little bit of a snippet today in our Telegram channel, but just being somebody who was kind of following everything that happened with FTX from the time that it started to become popular to its ultimate downfall. I've followed all of the court cases and read all of the documents, and you can't help but think, how did this decision making happen? And I just think it's a really good transition from so much DAO oriented announcements coming out from K9 this week to looking at the other point of the spectrum of like, here's what happens when proper governance isn't in place.
I look forward to hearing your opinion on that. You know, if you've ever been to any of the shows that I host on my own, that news, general crypto news is actually my thing. And there will be points that as we do these, I do intend to touch on like general market news, things that are happening, pertinent trending events and stuff. And that one is unavoidable today. So I'm glad you're going to touch on it. We might have ended up there, but if you're going to take us there, then I'm going to save everybody's opinions on it until we get to Buzz's Corner, and we can spice it up. We'll turn the heat up when we get to that point. You mentioned DAO updates. There are two things I wanted to ask you about specifically that I don't know if everyone would have seen that we can kind of rally again here. Can you tell me about the DAO forum? What's the DAO forum on the website all about?
Yeah, so this is the same structure that Lido uses. So there's a forum, and right now it's in Turtle has launched it. There's a link to it on the website, and we're just putting together the templates so that it'll be easier for people to use. So if people have already signed up for an account there, just be a little bit patient, give them a couple days to really get those templates going. But at a high level, this is where any token holder, any member of the community can make a proposal in a different category that they want to be implemented through the DAO. So that this could be a proposal like, hey, I want to change the taxes, which don't do that, because I think that's going to be one of the first proposals anyways. Or it could be, hey, we want to burn some tokens. Or it could be, hey, we want K9 to build a perpetual product or a lending and borrowing product. And those proposals go to the forum in a specific format, and then anyone in the community, leaders within the community, people in the management council, the roundtable, anybody that's part of K9 can go in there and read it and comment on it, and have a specific area for proposals that are getting submitted to the DAO. So when people are asking about any of these topics within the community, they can go there and write an informed and intelligent response about how they feel about it. And that gives an open forum where if any changes are being made to K9 and the light paper or the roadmap, anything like that, people have an outlet to go to where they discuss exactly what should be the right way to go. And then the next highlight that we put out in regards to the DAO, this is sort of like the second step of governance, is that the Roundtable of Dogs application is open. So in terms of the governance procedure, so something would get submitted to the forum, and then once a month, the Roundtable of Dogs will convene where they review the proposals that are gaining steam. And then they decide which ones are going to be appropriate to go to the entire community of K9 holders to vote on as to whether or not they would be implemented.
So I'm going to circle back because you took my second question away. It's like you're starting to do what Lightspeed does and kind of get in lockstep with where I might be headed. I was going to ask about the roundtable thing. You cleared that, but you said something that I guess I need clarification on about how in the forum you expect people to post these things. And then we're going to have, see if I wrote this down right, something called an informed, intelligent response. I spend a lot of my time on Telegram. So what do you mean when you say you want people to use informed, intelligent responses? Are you saying that the rules on this forum might be a little bit different in terms of code of conduct or what you're looking for from conversation? Can you give me an example of what you mean?
Yeah, the best example of this is really in Lido, and we're actually using the same software to run this forum. It'll be moderated. People make an account on there. But I think the important consideration here is that if you go onto a forum post, let's say it's, hey, I want to change the taxes. The best way to convey your idea as to whether or not this should get implemented is going to be to put together a tangent argument, or a really good argument in that post to convince the community that, hey, this is a really way to go about that. If people are posting on there and just saying, hey, change the taxes, well, that's the title of the forum post. But what we want to encourage people in the community to do is put some thought into how the taxes should be changed. And if somebody else is commenting on there and saying, hey, we think all of the taxes should be zero, put some thought into, well, what are the unintended consequences to doing that? And have a really good back and forth discussion amongst the community of what the pros and cons are to different issues that are happening, and how we can look at things from different perspectives. And this is a way where we're going to bring together the collective wisdom of not only all of our advisors, team members, and community to come together on a specific topic and try to use decentralized governance in a manner where people are giving intelligent, informed responses and trying to consider all of the angles to making these decisions.
What's this sorcery he's speaking of, Shane?
Bro,
Magic.
I'm so unaccustomed to this type of language. Lightspeed and Alan are here, and they know this about me, Buzz, but I don't think I've told you this before. The reason I want to highlight this type of stuff is here's why I'm excited for just DAO stuff in general. Why am I a DAO enthusiast? So this might not shock some of you, but I was a debate enthusiast in high school. Pedantic language is one of my specialties. And when it comes to things like what Buzz just said, I'm going to break that down for you in a way where maybe Buzz wouldn't. You better not post dumb shit in this forum or you're going to get exposed. Hardcore. This is going to be where the big brains come together and they post cogent arguments using very good language to make sure they're conveying thoughts and their research is in place and stuff like that. Don't come in here and just think that you're going to be like, we should drop the tax, yo. Like, that ain't going to work. It ain't going to work, you guys. This is a place that is not like the Telegram or it's not like the comment section in X. It's meant to be a place for thoughtful consideration from people who are willing to take the time to put together quality arguments. Am I losing you because this is boring? That's how debate works. This is a litmus test basically for whether or not you're really going to care to write these things. Lightspeed has made a career out of this stuff. Lightspeed, am I on track with like how boring these should be if they're done right?
You're on track, and I feel like I'm in a master class, Buzz, and I appreciate it. I'm taking notes from you on this one because it's a weak point for me that I need to get stronger on. So, no, I appreciate you leading the way on how governance should work. I think it's very important. I think you're going to set a model for other projects who want to follow this kind of way of doing things, and hopefully we'll be able to leverage your team's skill in the future once you're able to come up and breathe some air.
I think that there's going to be certainly growing pains. I mean, this is not a unique model by any means. We're certainly following the best practices of some of the most successful DAOs out there, namely Lido, which most people here know that K9 is the Lido model for Shib. And they've been able to do this for several years somewhat successfully. There's going to be growing pains in bringing something like this to Shib. But our team is here and very committed to having a fully decentralized model where the community is involved in this decision making. And if it can be, to take Shai's word, a beacon for development activity or even more DAO activity on Shibarium, and that's a great outcome there.
Now, my call to action on this before we move on from this to some more stuff would be that those of you that are out there, there have been a lot of people and we've had conversations about like, what can you do or what do you want to do in regards to being a DAO member? If you want to participate in some ways, this is your chance to kind of step up in a way and flex those big brain muscles a little bit. Like maybe you've got some big ideas about what the direction really should be. And you really think you could convince people if you were just given the right platform. My excitement for this stems from the idea that there's a bit of politics involved in this, in that you must be able to sell an idea. An idea in and of itself is not often easily conveyed. And then there's a bit of hucksterism, a bit of P.T. Barnum, you know, where you're standing up. You can have a great idea, but if you don't figure out how to write these forum posts, or at a minimum use ChatGPT or something like the Bad Idea Bot to write these posts, it's going to expose that you're not communicating your ideas well. And we may even see, Buzz, I'd be wondering if you thought about this, we might even see like co-authored proposals, right? Because maybe you've got a great idea, but maybe conveying those ideas is difficult, and you team up with someone who is better at that and you co-write a proposal. That's a very normal thing too, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think one great thing about this is that all ideas are not just going to live in my DMs or someone else's DMs, and it puts it into an open forum where everyone can see these ideas. And I do expect that the community will get behind many of the ideas. Like I've seen great proposals in my DMs where I'm like, wow, that's a really great idea that I've never thought of. And I hope that a lot of those ideas get put onto the forum too. Sentinel, I see that you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to kind of piggyback in terms of the whole concept of the DAO. From my perspective, like one of the things I'd love to see is just more people getting involved. Just really getting out there, you know, get involved, get an understanding in terms of the mechanics, in terms of how to get a proposal, how to write one, and don't be shy. There's a lot of community members out there who are going to be up, as part of the DAO, who will be willing to, support you and kind of guiding you in the right way. And let's not make it into rocket science. I know that, we want intelligent proposals, but we want people to get involved. And that's the big thing about, decentralizations and DAOs. It's like, this is an opportunity for you guys. Like we have almost 300 people in this room. There's 300 individuals who have taken their time and love this project enough to kind of step in and say, okay, let's learn a little bit more. So now we have this DAO. This is an opportunity for you to have your voice heard. And don't for any single second think that your voice is going to be lesser than somebody else's. You may not have a scary intelligence like Buzz and Mr. Lightspeed, right? You might not be the most articulate. You might not have the best writing proposals or writing skills, but you know what? Get involved, because if you get involved, this is how we are going to benefit. And it kind of brings me back to even looking at Walt Disney. And I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but one of their greatest ideas came from one of their community members who was a security guard. And he said, why am I always throwing out people who are trying to take the picture in front of the Magic Kingdom? Why don't we monetize it? And then it went all the way up to the food chain, and then it was implemented. So my opinion here is, don't sit back and say, oh, you know what, it's too hard, and I don't write well enough, and I don't this, I don't. Just get involved, because if you get involved, it's going to help all the people within K9. And that's the whole purpose. Get involved. There is a mechanism. Buzz and his team have carefully laid out step by step what it means and how it is to get involved in a fair manner. So, in my opinion, I'm going to get involved. I've got some crazy outlandish ideas, but I just want to see everyone get involved. And you all know that I'm part of the community. I'm part of the Shib group as well. If you have any questions, if you are shy, if you are hesitant, reach out to me. I'm openly acting as a resource to help anybody. And just don't be trepidatious. Just get involved.
All positive sentiment. Buzz, before I move on, one more answer from you. What's the web address for the forum?
You put me on the spot, but I think it's forum.k9finance.com. And if it's not that, it can be accessed at the footer of our website.
Hell yeah, I live to put you on the spot, bro. Thank you, I appreciate that. The next thing is going to move on to Lightspeed. I'm going to switch the spotlight because I just put Buzz on the spot. So picture this dramatic shift on the stage. Boom, spotlight over onto Lightspeed. Tell me all you know about MEXC. How are things going with your exchanges this week, man? I know you monitor the volume and stuff like that. What's your interpretation of how things have gone since the last time we met?
Yeah, we do watch it very carefully. We keep a very close eye on the liquidity. The market making team is very communicative on how they're doing, because at the end of the day, they are making a market and getting good trading. And there is very good trading. There's very solid organic volume on there. I think the style of launch that we did was very, very good. I think the strategy that was used to not provide K9 tokens also was solid. So you're going to see that be repeated in the future. So it's working very well. MEXC is performing well.
Good. And I know with that, I know the next thing I have to ask, even if you're not going to be able to answer it, is everybody's going, well, when next exchange? What's coming up? We saw a couple of people talking about soons and whens and stuff. What can you say for our soons and whens today? Yeah,
when I do a soon or a when, I want it to mean something, and I don't want it to be dismissive at all, because I know it's a term that can be abused by individuals who have no intentions of following through on what they say. So I'm cognizant of it and don't want that to reflect on me in a bad way. So when I say soon, it means because we really do have something coming, and I'm just asking for y'all to be patient with it. And I even dropped a video in the Telegram group to say the same message, that we do have things coming soon, because I can't tell you when, because the exchange wants to have that glory to send the message first, right? So I'm not going to steal their thunder, but once we do see that those messages come out, celebrate those victories, no matter how big or small. Celebrate them, rate that social, because it's no holds barred at that point.
So one thing I would want to highlight, and this is just something that I've been paying attention to, other projects, lots of other projects, don't necessarily follow those NDAs and stuff. And these people on the way up, they might launch a project and they might hit different exchanges, but what they don't realize is they might be hurting their reputation in the future or with other exchanges to come down the line because they're violating these things. And something as simple as front running the exchange announcement is actually considered to be something that is a faux pas in business, right? And I know this is crypto, and we all try to pretend like it's not real business, but can you tell me from a B2B perspective what that's like to have somebody do that?
Well, it's like having someone take credit for all your work, or for someone to undermine the impact of the messaging you're trying to do. It's so important that Binance will delist you and not go forward with your listing if they find out that you had given the date out. And it's even more important than that. It's to prevent insider trading. It's to prevent people from trying to front run a listing ahead of time. So a lot of this stuff is the dates are even more tightly controlled to who I even share that internally. So I take that very seriously.
And myself, having run multiple business accounts for cryptocurrencies and stuff like that, I cannot think of many things that would have pissed me off faster and that have had happened when I had a really, really great graphic ready to go with a crisp announcement that really maximized that maximum character limit, you know, and then I turn around like 7 minutes before I'm supposed to send it and I find out somebody else already put one out with a totally crap format 30 minutes ago from the smaller account. And that's where all the retweets have gone and stuff like that. That from a management perspective, these exchanges want to maximize their impact because they're looking for new user acquisition. So that's why when it's soon, we would want them to be the ones to uncork the bottle, right? So to speak. Go ahead, Buzz.
Yeah, Buzz has some words too to share.
Oh yeah, I just really resonated with what Mr. Lightspeed was saying about the words soon and when really being meaningful with K9. So I posted a tweet that I put out on Monday, and it was just like, hey, here's our goals for the week. I'm very confident that all of those goals will be hit for the week. And I just want to stress that, because I did answer some questions on Twitter or X this week about in regards to the K9 roadmap and clarifying that. The roadmap has never been delayed. The roadmap has always been what it was from the date that the light paper was announced in January. And dates are very meaningful to us, and commitments are very meaningful to us. And when there is a date put out there, or we're saying that we're going to do something, or we're setting a goal, hitting that on the appropriate date is very, very important to us. So when we say something, we actually want to do it. So when people are hearing like, oh, there's this goal, or there might be an exchange, or an exchange is coming soon, it is coming. And the reason that was leaked is because we're confident that it's going to be delivered.
Didn't you have a guy a couple of weeks ago ask you if you could just go ahead and release the K9 staking product in March? Thank you.
Yeah, I've had many different requests with that. I sent out a long tweet this week, just basically explaining why K9 is not something that can just be delivered in a week. And that's just because it's critical infrastructure. Like if you look at comparable products like Lido Finance or Jito, like Jito has $900 million worth of Solana locked in it right now. And the comparable products on Polygon and Ethereum, they have billions of dollars locked in them. And that is the standard that we want to be bringing to Shibarium. And that's how tried, true, and tested we want this product to be. And to just be launching something like that in a week is not safe for the community, nor is it smart, because we want this to be a product that's going to be critical infrastructure. It's required to do DeFi activities on the Shib chain, which is Shibarium, and it's going to be there for a long, long time, and that users are going to be safe using it. This is not issuing an NFT. It's not launching a token that does nothing. It's a core infrastructure that's going to run all DeFi on Shibarium, and it's something that is going to be that I'm very excited and passionate about, and it needs to be issued right. And when we put out the roadmap in January there, along with the light paper, it was very, very thoughtful of how long these activities are going to take.
Now I'm gonna wrap up with Lightspeed's exchange thing, but you just led me into the segue of what I want to talk about next. So for everybody that's sooning and winning, you need to be following Lightspeed on X. Click on his account right now. Make sure you're following him, and if you're like super uber desperate, you can turn on notifications, which is where you get like the hottest, freshest Lightspeed information that you can possibly get. That's your best way to get it. So follow him for more. You'll know when he knows. He tells us all as soon as he knows everything. And I appreciate your work, Lightspeed. I know the rest of the community does. I won't spend all the time throwing flowers at your feet, but keep up the good work, brother. I appreciate it. The light paper buzz, we have a post pinned up top, which is exactly what I want to talk about, light paper / roadmap. So for those of you that are able to see the pinned posts up top, it's the second one that got pinned with the roadmap highlights. And it talks about the evolution of K9, which is actually why I titled the space this way, because there was a particular phrase that was used right there, and you highlighted it in phase 2 called Bone Crusher. So what I would like you to do for me, if you could explain where we are right now out of those 3 phases, and then can you get into where we're headed with phase number 2 and what Bone Crusher really means in that context?
For sure. So April 1st will mark the first day of Q2. And in Q2, towards the end of Q2 is when we're going to be launching on testnet. And all of the products were very sagely named by our marketing lead. And she came up with this model where all of the names of our products are after the Latin root of the words that highlights the evolution of what is a modern day dog. So in Q2, when we launch our testnet, that product is called Hesper. In Q3, when we launch on mainnet, that product is called Boro, and the full Latin term is Borofaginae. And I mean, I'm sure if there are some linguists in here, I'm not pronouncing that correctly. But if you do go on Google, I'm sure that the proper pronunciation can come from there. But the exact translation of the Boro mainnet release is Bone Crusher. So there's an amazing storyline here. It's the evolution of what is a modern day dog, and that mainnet launch, when the K9 product is going to be live, it literally translates to Bone Crusher. So Q3 Boro translates to Bone Crusher, and what the product is going to do when it launches is it's locking bone. It's locking bone on Ethereum, and it's minting K9 Bone, which is that LSD token, on Shibarium, where all of that TVL that we've been talking about is going to be, and it's going to be the product release where you're going to be able to stake K9 and earn bone. So we're crushing bone. We're locking away that bone supply on Ethereum, and we're bringing liquidity to it on Shibarium. And I just think that is such powerful marketing that we're planning out a ton of marketing collateral and memes and all of those great things that are going to be putting that out there to the community and allowing us to grow and have our message heard. And that's going to be a huge theme in the marketing leading up to our Q3 release of Bone Crusher.
The number one thing you can do to earn the love and affection of any Shib supporter is burn something, preferably Shib or Bone or some sort of Shib ecosystem product. But crushing sounds new. Crushing sounds more exotic and exciting. And you're saying that you got this from the actual evolution of how the modern dog grew up. For those of you that some of you might already know your biology and stuff like this, but modern dogs develop that jaw strength. When he talks about Bone Crusher, it's physically in their DNA, and they're strong enough to do that. But you're talking metaphorically that this bone is going to be crushed, quote fingers, you guys can't see my quote fingers, crushed within this product as people are transacting on Shibarium by using the liquid staking token. Is that basically what being crushed means?
Exactly. The crushing in this sense is that it's being crushed. It's being locked away on Ethereum. It's crushed over there, and then the liquid staking token is live. Then people can use that to increase TVL. And I think that the brilliance in this comes from the fact that these evolutionary stages of a dog, like they're prehistoric. Like Hesper and Boro, like those aren't dogs that you see in the modern day. They're primitive. They're prehistoric, and it really leads up to in Q4 when the full product is released and it's a fully decentralized product in the hands of the Shib community. That's KNINE. That's your modern day dog. That's your Shiba Inu. That's your German Shepherd. That's all. It encompasses all of the dogs that you would see in modern life, and it's very symbolic of the fact that like that is completion. That's bringing K9 from a prehistoric version of like an alpha product, like something that is design and architecture, all the way to Q4 when it's going to be this fully fledged dog and Shiba Inu and German Shepherd, and something that is owned within the Shib community.
I think the symbolism is awesome. And I think that what, if anyone is listening down there, can take away from this is when you're dealing with people who will say things like, well, you guys should be burning bone, you should be doing something to help the community. And there's all these different versions of whatever FUD or detraction you might run into in different places. This bone crushing mechanism needs to become part of your repertoire. It needs to become part of your vocabulary for communicating to people one of the many, many reasons that the product is going to be so beneficial, because I'm willing to talk about the thing that a lot of people usually would try and dance around. And I'm not saying that Buzz or anyone else dances around this, but I get a lot of that. Well, you guys are on Ethereum. What are you doing for Shibarium? You guys are an ETH token. What are you doing for Shibarium? My brother, you don't understand. You need to read the light paper. That was my sentiment this whole week. And I know we say it too much sometimes, but I really do think sometimes it's just about like, you really don't know what you're talking about. There's so much going on in terms of contribution that it's almost beyond me just trying to get winded to talk about it. And when the voice of the DAO is telling you that he doesn't want to take the time to talk to you about it, you got to think about that. Like you got to read that stuff. So I love the symbolism, and I love the idea that this is something that we can go back to the Shib community at large and say, look what's going to happen to all this bone. And I love the Jito comparison and the Lido comparison, because it's just a numbers comparison. Look what they've done. We're trying to do what they've done. It's easy to wrap your mind around it. Imagine that volume locked. Super cool, man. And thank you for going over it. For those of you that hadn't seen that post up there, please, please, please take the time to read the roadmap highlights post from the K9 Finance DAO main account. And then please read the light paper. And then if you have more questions, any one of us that can help in the Telegram or anywhere like that, the more you know, right, with the star and rainbow NBC style, I would appreciate that. Now, 2:36, at least my time. We are about 31 minutes into this. We're going to start getting closer to the AMA, which means we are close to Buzz's corner. Buzz, are you ready? Can you get yourself a sip of water? Because I have a feeling you're about to get fiery-throated with anger talking about Sam Bankman-Fried, because you mentioned you'd been around for a long time and you've watched what we would describe as the whole arc here. So I know it's a K9 Finance Spaces, everybody. I know we're here talking about all the fun stuff, but we're going to disengage for just a second, and we're going to head over to the K9 Finance news desk for an update with Buzz in Buzz's corner. Take it away, Buzz.
Thanks for the intro, Shane. I'll be brief with this because I'm sure that this was on everybody's X timeline today. And SBF, who was the former founder, well, he's the founder of FTX, he was sentenced to 25 years today, and he had a sentencing today, and it came out, and it just got me thinking, with all of the DAO stuff that we're doing with K9 Finance, like really, like, how did this decision making go wrong? Like we all know that SBF misappropriated funds, and we all know that there was commingling between Alameda funds and FTX funds, and that customer deposits were being used for market making. And it really had our team sitting back and kind of happy that we're really doing things the right way. So like if people see our wallets that are on Etherscan, like the wallet is protected by a multi-sig. Our third-party auditor, or the audit is on the footer of our website, like they are one of the signers on the multi-sig. So transactions cannot be sent out without their approval there. We have the DAO being set up. Like we have the forum where people are going to be able to submit proposals. We have the roundtable of dogs, the applications are now open, where they're going to review all of these submissions and make sure that good ones are being put to a community vote. And then the community itself gets to vote on things that are happening. So you have to wonder where this is the maximum way of doing it. It's the fully decentralized way to bring in a community. But in the traditional business world, this is not new. Like having a board of directors where they're approving decisions or giving their input on decisions, and having a CEO who's communicating to that board critical decisions that are being made, that's all governance too, in the Web 2 sort of ecosystem world. And you just have to wonder, how did all of that governance go wrong in FTX, and how did this happen? And it was because there was too much power being put into the hands of one person. And I think that's really ultimately the theme of a lot of what we've been working on this week, is getting up this framework, getting up the DAO framework, having the forum, electing the round table of dogs so that decision making is not just made in the hands of 1, 2, or 3 people. It's putting it into the hands of the community and leaders within the community, people who are subject matter experts in their own right, to make sure that the proper decisions are being made for a product that's going to be critical for DeFi on Shibarium. And just watching that sentencing and reading about that sentencing today had myself and our whole team like really reflecting that we're glad that we're very much so doing this the right way and in the best interest of the community so that proper sage decisions can be made moving forward.
I wanted to jump on that one, Shane.
Go for it.
Yeah, even today we're setting up accounts and for centralized exchanges, and even I'm held accountable, right? So there's other management team that supervise the work I do, and in that process, they see, okay, here are the accounts, here are the account numbers, there's no commingling, everything we send is going to the exact same place, here are the screenshots, all the accounting. So even at every level, there's a checks and balances always going through at every step of the way. And I've just come to admire it. It can be frustrating, it can be stressful, but at the end of the day, it's also the safest.
Well, the way that Buzz is describing it, it does seem from the outside, because we don't know the details, like just an unfathomable series of decisions one after the other that would have led to this place. Because it's not like it was like everything was fine until it was absolutely corrupt, right? Like it's a slippery slope situation where like you do a little and then you get away with it, and you do a little and you get away with that. It's not like this guy just turned around one day and he's like, you know what? I'm going to use customer funds today. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, the path to hell is paved with good intentions, right, Shane?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Is I think genuinely from watching some interviews with him, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it's Buzz's corner, not mine. Shane lives in a round room. There are no corners. I can't be sat in a corner. When I read and watched his interviews, I get a genuine sense that he still doesn't believe he was absolutely criminally wrong or evil. I do believe that he believed he was doing something altruistic, or that he had at some level some, utopian goal in mind, and I can't put my finger on what it was. But he's just seemed so aloof about everything. But Buzz is right. Like the decisions at every level around him, the people, was there no one, Buzz, that ever disagreed, or were they all cut out, right? And then cutting people out should be a sign too, right? Like you shouldn't have a Slack channel with 3 people in it making only those decisions. There's just so much about it. Well, who's going to play him in the movie, Buzz?
It's got to be some villainous person playing that role. But I think that you're exactly right. Like it points back to if you just put the decision-making power in the hands of few people, and then those few people are not talking with one another, they're not having open discussion in a transparent and open place where others can interject. It's just creating this bottle where things can burst, and that's why I'm just like proud of the team for setting up all this DAO infrastructure where decisions can be made in a sound way. And I don't want to hammer home about FTX and whatnot, because there may be people in this space that were affected by that and are still very angry about it. And I just want to kind of leave that on the note of very proud of the fact that we're setting up K9 in the right way, where things like that aren't going to happen. And we're also bringing DeFi on chain, where there is no sort of like cloak of a lack of transparency. Like everything is on chain and going to be auditable for people to see. There's no, like even with K9 Bone and Bone, there's no fractionalized reserves that are going to be there. And we're using best practices. And by having people on the team and on our advisory who have been in this industry for a long, long time, it helps us to learn from experiences like that and start to build products that are more in the vein of how crypto should be. And I got into crypto through Bitcoin and like really loving the freedom of money and how this is a decentralized ecosystem. And I think that's just the ethos that we want to be living by with K9. And that's kind of where I want to leave the SBF talk, because I know it can get people frustrated.
So for the next 5 to 10 minutes before we would normally run things into the end of the show, we do have 2 people up here. I want to give them a chance to speak on their things. K9 Saint has been sitting up here quietly the whole time, hasn't said anything. I want to give the microphone over to you, good sir. What's going on?
Hey, Shane, Buzz, how's everybody doing?
Doing well. Thank you for asking. What's good?
Well, I'd like to start with a quote that it seems quite relevant for the previous conversations in which I was listening to. Patience is waiting, not passively waiting. That's laziness. But to keep going when the going is hard and slow. And that's by Leo Tolstoy. And I think that really speaks volumes in regards to how K9's progressively and slowly moving up the ladder to layer 2 domination.
Very popular.
Because precision and making sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Mr. Lightspeed, it's been a pleasure to watch you work, but I will continue. So I'm opening and starting the K9 Cast official podcast. So it's just essentially another media avenue for our community members. Now, a lot of the information will be parroted from other sources, as is everything, but it's more of an easy to digest, simplified version of a lot of the critical information. So the idea behind it is it's going to be posted every Sunday at 7 a.m. Eastern. And it's for somebody to wake up with a coffee, pop it on. We're going to have devs and project owners from the Shibarium umbrella and multiple projects, up-and-comers as well, come on as guests every week. It'll be about an hour-long episode, and we're going to move through with the Shibarium news, K9 news, first and foremost, a lot of the straightforward key points. And then now with the DAO that's open, I'm going to be in talks with a few people and see if we can have like a live DAO proposal debate once a month, just to get blood flowing. And then at the end, there'll be the war room, which is, I'm going to involve the battlefield because I believe it needs a little more. So we might as well do like a top 10 shillers kind of list and get them named off at the end. And we're all just kind of going towards promoting K9 and spreading it as far as we possibly can.
Did you say you're going to host a forum where we can openly vent and yell and scream at each other?
Yes, 100%. And that will be a rated R episode.
Oh, man. Okay, sign me up.
What I really love about this is it was completely organic. K9 Saint, I think, joined the community shortly after our launch, and I got a message from one of our other mods, Radar, who was just saying, hey, like K9 Saint wants to become a mod. And then I got to just speaking with him in the DMs, and he had these ideas for a podcast, and everything that he just described was just born out of the community, and it's incredible. Had a couple calls with them, and the amount of professionalism that he brought and these ideas being fully fleshed out was incredible, and exactly what we're looking for from community members. I love how, I just want to give a shout out again to K9 Saint. He's been hosting almost every single night, I think, around 8 p.m. Eastern or maybe 9 p.m. Eastern, an open voice chat in our Telegram channel, which anywhere from 10 to 15 community members have been joining every night just to hang out and just to talk about the project, talk about life in general. And I always want to celebrate moments like that where people in the community are stepping up and really becoming valued members and making sure that everyone feels welcome and has a voice in our community. So just want to shout that out, and bravo K9 Saint.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the community and all the moderators, especially Radar. There's a special spot in my heart. But if it wasn't for you, then we wouldn't be here. So I appreciate the entire K9 Finance team, from the upper echelons to the bottom of the barrels. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Looking forward to the progression of the show and some of the additional features that you've talked about. Make sure you get a chance to update us anytime we're here doing the show. Feel free, right? And then
will do.
Sentinel, what's going on, man? I know you came up to hang out in general. Do you have anything specific that you wanted to go over before we start doing wrap-ups?
Yeah, we want to definitely shout out a couple of people. I see Shib, Sharby, Lagago, Mantra. It's incredible how this community has grown. Being one of the very first ones involved, seeing like we used to have like 5 people in Telegram and we'd be like talking to each other, and now it's grown to this like 8,000, almost 9,000 individuals. We've got almost 250 people here talking. And, I just really want to remind everyone, like, get involved in the DAO. Take a look, it's just really step up. And this is our ability to have our voice heard. I love how it's structured and just, it reminds me of what like the Bored Apes are doing in terms of their various DAOs, where the community is working together, and there's even opportunities to fund projects or initiatives that further spread the word. So, I always get a lot of, I wouldn't say always, but I get a decent amount of DMs from the community within K9 and with ideas. And I'm always like, okay, get ready when the DAO is open so we can start empowering it. And even just looking at Saint, what he's doing, that's awesome. And there was another individual who did a YouTube channel just talking about K9, and it was just started in conversation, and he said, am I allowed to do this? And everyone's like, we're decentralized, go ahead. So just my thoughts are, get involved in the DAO, look into it, read it, and let's really make this, let's take ownership of our ideas and put them forward. So, and thanks, Shane, thanks for having me up here. It's a privilege to get to talk to about K9.
I want to give like a bit of a K9 history here just after Sentinel was speaking as well. And just for those who don't know, Roy is the person who's in the audience who did those YouTube videos. So shout out Roy. But the K9 history lesson. So Sentinel was like one of the first people that I ever met within the Shib community, and is probably introduced with 1, 2, or 3 degrees of separation to everyone who's in this room, and everyone who's been in the community listening and who was just listed off for Sentinel. So he was like 3rd or 4th person in the Telegram channel, and it has been really, really critical to helping our team network within the Shib community and meet amazing people like Sharby, Shib Dream. I think probably introduced to Mr. Lightspeed as well. Danger, who I see in there, Dijark, Lucy. All of these introductions really came through Sentinel, and it's been integral to embedding K9 within the Shib community. So just very thankful for that, and wanted to give those people here who may not have known, but that's kind of the K9 history lesson for the day.
He's OG is what you're saying. Original gangster here. Y'all got to put some respect on Shibacals' name is what Buzz is saying. I'll say it that way. Got about 5 more minutes before I got the hard out on this one, so I didn't have a lot of hands up. To those of you that did have hands up, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just being a gatekeeper. I see Nimbora. I see Junio. I see NFT Magicians. I'm not ignoring you. It's just not the kind of spaces where I'm trying to have other major brands come up. If there's something that I can do for you as K9 Finance and you need to send me a DM, I'd be happy to direct those to the right places. But this weekly spaces is just not generally one where we're jumping up with other brands, but I'm not trying to be a jerk and ignore you, so don't take it that way. It's not personal. Having said that, with K9 Saint and Sentinels wrapping up, Roy, I got a couple minutes. You want to talk about the YouTube stuff you're doing? I saw you got the speaker spot.
Yeah, hey, sorry if it's a little windy. I'm outside the chiropractic place with my daughter, so I just wanted to say, first off, thank you guys, because I was pretty critical of the entire K9 project when I first jumped in. I have been a Shib holder since May 2021, so I am invested in the community, but I just wanted to say thank you guys.
Yeah, man. Buzz, I know Buzz appreciates the work you're doing, and I know everyone here, if I'm the voice of the DAO from all 7,000, 8,000 people, man, thank you for the content. We appreciate that.
Yeah, if you guys want to check it out, I am going to start doing a live read-through on my YouTube channel every time the Shib Weekly drops, because I know that it can be a little bit much to try to sit down and read through it. I've tried myself, and it's awesome information. I just think it's, it can be hard for people who are working a lot and stuff like that to sit down and read it. So I'm going to read through it live every Wednesday when it drops on my YouTube channel, and I'll have a specific playlist for that as well. The YouTube channel is Break Loose Academy on YouTube.
Nice. Well, we'll be sure to do what we can to make sure people are tuning in for the live reading on it, man. Thank you for coming up and getting in the announcement about it. Lightspeed, before we head out, you got any words for the folks?
Soon.
Good enough for me. Buzz, you got anything for the folks?
I was going to say soon too.
Whoa, that's a double soon. Are you going to make me say it one more time and close the space?
No, I just want to give a shout out to Roy as well, and then thank him for coming up, and a shout out to our moderators too. So like Roy said when he was introducing, like, he was initially critical of K9, and I just love stories like this where our moderators, I believe it was actually Hero, who's not really a moderator, but he's one of our key partners with Shibarmy, and I think he had a long conversation with Roy, like explaining the product and like what's being built, and really turned somebody who was critical into exactly what you're hearing, like an avid supporter, active community member, somebody who's creating content, and I think that really goes towards the ethos of education that we want to be doing here at K9, and educating people and bringing them on the inside, and really encouraging them to create content, encouraging them to be a valuable DAO member. And not everybody who comes into the chat is going to be somebody who just needs to be banned or muted. Like, some people out there can be converted through education. Not everybody, but it's just such a great success story that I'm very fond of.
Well, with that one more success story, we're going to call that a weekly spaces, you guys. We're going to do the end of the spaces here. So I want to say thanks to everybody that came and listened to the spaces. If you're here right now live and you made it through the whole thing, I really appreciate that. Like Buzz said earlier, you guys could have been anywhere. Sentinel said this, actually. Taking the time to come to the spaces really means a lot, because it means you're paying attention to things. If you're listening to the recording, that's even cooler to me. Please leave a comment. We always want to know how the recording sounds for everybody that's listening later, because we know we can't hit all the time zones. As for me, for myself, my sentiment is very much what the other two said. I will just say what they said. Soon. I think that's good enough for me. If you like the spaces, we do these every Thursday. It's the weekly DAO update spaces. It's the K9 Finance account, but my name is Pulse Digital, or my name is also Shane. You can follow my personal account at CryptoPulse9. I do spaces all the time. And you can catch me back here again at least 1 week from now for the next K9 Finance weekly update spaces. That will be number 11. So we will see you soon. Have a good day.